We are going to get into ES65 fill patterns. As you notice here, I have a hummingbird. On fill patterns, you can be quite creative here. I'm going to just grab this object here. As you notice, this one object is created with motifs that I created to get this fill effect here. The other thing you will notice here on this wing, it is one object here that has some turning stitches, but it has its own fill pattern in there that I did as user defined fill on there. Now these are created grooves to help let the stitches fall into places. So let's see how that really works. We're going to create a new screen here. And I'm just going to grab my complex fill. You can use other tools. And I selected the user define on here. So I'm just going to create an object here. And just a very simple object on here. I'm going to enter that. I'm not going to worry about any additional holes. I'm going to enter an exit point and entering points on this. Now it's asked me my stitch angle. So this is where you got to be creative. How you're going to define these lines and grooves is going to determine what stitch angles you're going to be. So I'm going to just create a stitch angle here. Now on the bottom here you will see it says enter point 1 of a curve. You can create these curves as one object and go to the next object, or you can be a little creative by doing multiple lines on here. I'm just going to grab a bunch of lines here, and this is just going to create my lines that was on there. Now you will see here when I generate that stitches, if I put my true view here, I have created multiple lines and groove patterns on here. And that was all created with the user defined splits. So it's very similar to as if you did your regular program splits that are created with patterns, but you can define your own splits on there. Let's get on to the next video here regarding about special effects. With blends, you can get some exotic, realistic look, especially in wildlife or shadows on there. Now this is simple bighorn sheep, but what if you want to be able to blend lighter to dark? So I'm going to go into here and get into this here. Now you see this Hunt's Hog Shop. Now you will see on the bottom here I have a fill pattern going light to dark, and then I have another fill pattern that goes from the opposite direction. With that blend, you do get a nice blend through here to make it look like it's fading. It's great for suns or blending one object to another shade of the object, shadow effects, and more. So how do we do that? Let's go back to our design 1 and see how we create that. This time I'm going to grab my fill pattern. I do want to do a tatami stitch value on this, and I'm going to uncheck that and go to the next one that's according spacing. Now when I create an object here, I'm just going to create a simple box here. And then I'm going to enter my entering point. I'm not going to worry about any holes. So my entering and my exit. Now I'm going to define my stitch angle. I'm going to bring it across, and you will see how it blends to light to dark. If I right click on that and see the properties here on this according spacing, I have different values or profiles I could use. I can make an even blend, go the opposite direction. I could actually have it go from heavy to light or light to heavy. I could actually have it from heavy, light to heavy again, and vice versa. You can get some nice effects with these fill patterns. The main thing is your stitch spacing. What is the maximum stitch spacing along with the minimum? So if I go back to the top here, I may create a maximum stitch spacing here is 5, and my minimum spacing I may want to create a more heavier or lighter. For example, if I bring it to 0.3, you will see how it changes through the fill pattern. Now another way of doing this, I'm just going to go and check this cording spacing is here. There is a one-step process on here, and that's up here that has the color blending. Now with this object selected, I'm going to click on this. You will notice here that it comes up with a top layer and a bottom layer. So you can define, let's say you want your bottom layer to be yellow and your top layer to be red, and then your top layer you may want to define a decrease, change a value in there. I'm going to exaggerate here to a 4, and then I'm going to go through here and go to the lighter one, and maybe I want it consistent. I may not want as much stitching on the other one, so I'm going to bring this up to 9, and I'm going to click on this and say OK. And now that has created 2 fill patterns. I'm going to just drag this over here and right click on my properties on here, color object list, sorry about that, and you will see these are actually grouped in here. You can right click and ungroup these, and then you can move these objects separated on here, and you will see I have a solid fill with a nice blending down on that.